There's so much to talk about Nigeria, and one of the aspects that has continuously bothered me is the use of our intellect, the use of our intelligence. I mean, some of the most easiest things to understand, we seem to pretentiously pretend that they are difficult to understand. But if you ask me as a person, I believe that religion has done so much damage to the intrinsic value of our thought process in Nigeria as a people than any other mechanism. Now, if you listen to Peter Obi, and after listening to Peter Obi, you still carry that sentiment of tribalism, that sentiment of Northern and Southern and Eastern and Igbo, Yoruba, and this thing, that thing is still in you. Then, trust me, I'm saying this thing without bias. There is something wrong, absolutely wrong, and you need to do something about it. Now, in a recent podcast, Peter Obi explained that he is going to turn night vigil to night shift. First of all, what does that statement mean? It simply means that our level of dependence on religion will be reduced so that people will tend more to production than believing in God for things. Now, yesterday, I was in the club and I was making an analogy, and the analogy felt good. I felt I needed also to share it on my platform. You see, man's inability to provide answers to the beyond, or what happens in the beyond. When we die, where do we go to? What is our experience like after death? What lies beneath the end of the universe? I mean, these are questions that are way beyond our dimension. So because man is unable to provide answers to this question, after all, nobody has gone to the other side and come back and say, hey, this is what happens at the other side. Forget those women with migraine that say that they passed on and they saw heaven, some buildings are still in the foundation level and all of that. Those are pure figments. They are not true. Okay. Because of man's inability to provide answers to the very basic questions of life, they formulate what we call God. Now, in Africa, because of our inability to establish a system that provides enlightenment, strength to our thought structure, our ability to think. In China, the toys that they sell to their children are designed in such a way that it starts enhancing the child's brain right from a toddler. In China, they provide toys. Like, I watched one video where a child, the square, round, triangles, rectangle objects, and then there's a hole where they have to, as young as 6 months, they're already coaching these children how to expand their thought horizon. But in Africa, you get children, most parents don't care how to evolve their mind structure. So they back them and go to church, pray, maleke sandarabo yaka sindarababa, leba sandarabaka, anyone. This child will grow to become a governor. This child will grow to become a president. This child will go, I decree progress in all those stuff. Now, I was saying yesterday at the club, prayer is an exercise to establish a relationship between you and God. Prayer is not a request process. Prayer is not give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. Prayer is just a request process. And prayer, the efficacy of prayer is not determined by the length you involve in. The efficacy of prayer is not determined by how long you pray or how serious you pray or how much you shouted the prayers or how hungry you starved yourself in the name of fasting. The efficacy of prayer is determined by your sincerity. And your prayer is even more fulfilled after meeting the criteria, because the Bible in itself said, seek him first. Seek him first, the kingdom of God and all his righteousness. As the first thing you must do is to seek him first, the kingdom of God, and all its righteousness, and every other thing will be added to you. So you can't just go asking God for money, asking God for building, asking God for cars. He has promised you that. But there's a condition. There's a condition. You don't need to ask him. Have you kept those conditions? Have you kept those conditions? If you have, then wait. He's going to give it to you. When Peter Obi said he is going to translate Nigeria from night shift to night vigil, he didn't say he was going to stop the church. He simply said the emphasis of church and prayers and the commitment, and I'm trying to use a word that doesn't seem I'm trying to malign the church. That means let me try to, there's a word I'm trying to think. That is the amount of time we spend in church could also be used to produce things. Trust me, there was a speaker in the House of Reps who wanted to pass a bill that the church should be regulated. And I was one person who immediately felt, say, hey, this Islamic agenda thing. But when you truly look at it, when you really look at it without any bias, you should honestly believe that religion should be regulated in Africa, in Nigeria in particular. Religion should be regulated. I strongly believe now that religion should be regulated, because how do you expect somebody, you go to church on Monday, you go to church on Tuesday, Father's Fellowship, Church Fellowship, choir practice, women fellowship, women this, that, then on Sunday you go to Monday, and the evening again you go to... There is no space to give to the mind to evolve production. You can relate to God not necessarily by going to church. Going to church is an opportunity to just know that you are not alone in your conviction of God. Church is a place you go to know that there are others like you who are also in the faith. Others who will encourage you to keep the faith. Church is not a place that is holier than your home. The church environment, God is not more present in the church than it is in your bedroom. The presence of God is not stronger in the church than your toilet. Anywhere God is, because God is in your mind. God dwells in a place that is in your mind. Now, for those of you there are concepts I want to talk about, but sometimes I'm afraid that my audience may not have the intelligent strength to pick where I'm coming from. So I'm always, stranded in the choice of semantics to express this basic concept. From night vigil to night shift is a concept of trying to reduce our time spent in church to time spent in production. That is just all it means. Not that we are trying to stop religion. And besides, religion is a personal conviction. Most Christians are Christians today because your families were Christians. Most Muslims today are Muslims because your families were Muslims. Very few of you came out and convinced themselves based on the things you saw or read to become Muslims or Christians. For me, any of these religions are personal conviction. That is why it is called a belief. But what is real is what you eat. Where you are going to get your food, that's a real challenge. Where you are going to get money to pay for school fees, that's a real challenge. Where you're going to get money to buy a car is a real challenge. So these things we should try as much as possible to separate fiction from reality. Now, I am not saying Bible is a fiction. I don't fall in the class of those who believe that the Bible is a fiction. But the truth still remains that Nigerians spend too much time with religion than innovation. You cannot pray yourself into riches. You cannot pray yourself into success because God has already kept all the mechanism necessary to produce anything. If you want to become governor, there is a process. If you want to become president, there is a process. If you want to invent something, there is a process. It's only recently I now understood why Elon Musk supported Donald Trump. I just watched a documentary. Anyway, that topic is not related to what I'm talking about. But if I may quickly delve in, that the mind is a very fragile department. The mind is a very, very fragile department. And whatever you expose your mind to will shape what you believe in. And what you believe in defines who you are. That's why I'm always very careful. I have a strong mind. I can always, what I cannot open my mind to, I can't stand the sight of, this is Facebook. Recently, I noticed my Facebook is not performing well, so I hope it has not been flagged. I open my mind to almost anything. I am the type of person, if a lion is chasing an antelope, I will pray that the lion catches the antelope and eat. Now, 90% of you who are watching me will fall into the class of those who say they pray that the antelope escapes. And I told somebody, because I did the same analogy in the club yesterday, I said, if a lion is pursuing an antelope, which outcome would you prefer? That the antelope escapes or the lion catches the antelope? Most of them say they want the lion to escape. I said, most of them say they want the antelope to escape. I said, for me, I would want the lion to catch the antelope. Because you as a human being go to the forest to hunt, and you hunt animals with life, and you pray to catch one, and you bring it and you eat. You go to the bar and you say, Amaran, give me bushmeat. Those bushmeat were hunted and caught. It's all about survival. God gave the antelope the stamina to run for a very long time. God gave the lion the ability to sprint for a short distance. So whoever that studies best how to survive will survive. If the antelope knows that the lion only needs to sprint to catch it, the antelope will ensure that it always keeps a good distance between itself and the lion, so that at any time there is a chase, the antelope will have a very good advantage for it to escape. It's God's purpose that as soon as the antelope gives birth, the newly born antelope immediately knows that it has to run. In a few minutes, it's already practicing to run. In fact, antelopes do not take baby steps. They take baby run or baby galloping. Fulfillment you have. And money is not necessarily at times the basis for measuring fulfillment. There are people who are successful. They are rich in knowledge. Some people are rich in wisdom, in advising people. Some people are rich in career. Some people are rich in money. I can tell you that there are so many people with money but are sad. There are people with money but they are not happy. So you cannot in all honesty, measure success by the quantity of money, rather by the quantity of fulfillment.
I wanted to ask, the former governor of Anambra State had made a statement. Do you agree with him or not? He said that if he would rather turn night vigils into night shifts so that people can be more productive. I tend to agree with what he said. What do you think?
Well, I think the night vigils are not the problem. The problem is that our society has not created such opportunities that allow people to work night and day. Because if they do, even where people work night and day, people still do night vigils. So I don't think night vigils is the problem. The problem is the opportunities that allow people to work day and night have not been created. Because in countries where people work day and night, people still do night vigils. Prayer is not a problem. It's just that the enabling environment to do those kind of jobs is yet to be created.
There are night jobs here. The security, you work security morning and night. So there are night jobs here.
But I don't...
The nurses and doctors work morning and night.
Yeah.
So we do have night jobs. So what Peter Obi is saying is we spend all our time doing night vigil when we can be more productive.
I agree with him. You know, a society that ought to thrive shouldn't spend the whole time in church. I've said it many times. That's why they said, I said you don't need God to succeed.
Okay.
It was a whole teaching, and I was taking time to explain that what God has given you the ability to do, don't wait for him to do it for you.
Yeah. For you, yeah.
All right? So you've got to do what you've got to do to get your society to function. There are even societies who don't even believe in the existence of God, and they're doing very well physically, economically, and otherwise. You know, so those are the kind of things I was explaining.
When every for that period, when una talk, come make my pikin enter, I not go follow through. Make una match